home be doing to be able to do that job effectively?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we want to go.
Anything.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
That was the right move. I think it's core stuff, right? Because that's what I really need to do.
Yes, that is the weakest if you're sitting all day.
That is the killer of therapists.
No, back.
Slip disc.
Well, because
back
the
is what
core.
you
Well,
need.
yeah, because the core is
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy.
Wow.
Real people, real therapists.
Wait, what happened to
real
the script?
problems.
I thought we
I
were
don't
going to
even
go
have
off
the fucking
script.
script. I'm winging it. Would you like to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net. And now, that's Whitney, that's Nick, and I'm Jim.
Jimbo.
And this episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett.
I did that blind, and I think I got through damn
and you can
near all
email
of it.
us.
Yeah, you sounded just like me.
Thanks for all
Nick
the advice.
You're very welcome.
When I think of, which Muppet is Nick? Because I know which Muppet is Nick.
Hold on. I'm going to have to get
I got it.
my Google.
Yeah, I
ready.
think we're thinking of the same one. I really
I don't
hope
know
we
the
are.
Muppets
Are we?
well enough.
It's Sam the Eagle.
Sam the Eagle. Yep.
I feel like y'all said this last year.
Sam the Eagle.
It
might
is
have.
the American way. And then he whispers in his ear.
just 'cause I have a unibrow?
British way.
That's why.
Not just because of that.
Oh.
That's one of them, too. I saw this thing the other day, and you know how...
It's also because you're a symbol of freedom.
That's it, yeah.
That's
the
fine.
evil thing.
I'm fine with that.
So, Sesame Street, every once in a while, will do like social commentary or introduce a
Okay.
Muppet that has a chronic disease or something to help kids understand like this perspective or whatever.
Okay.
And so they made news in the last couple of months because it was like,
Necrophilia?
Hey, yeah, right. Finally, this small minority of people is getting their time in this.
Getting represented on Sesame Street.
You see, kid. So there was a new Muppet, and they were
You
like,
see, when a person loves another person
Who
who's
is dead.
very, very much.
and there's nothing wrong with that, you bigots. They were like, this month we'll be introducing the first Muppet that is homeless. And
Bullshit.
There's a picture
Bullshit.
of
Yeah, I know where Jacob's
a little
going.
red Muppet. And everybody was
Look at
like,
Oscar the Grouch.
that's what they said. Everybody was like, Oscar the Grouch been homeless for 30 fucking years.
Longer than that.
Nice try, Sesame Street.
Motherfucker lives in a trash
Got
can.
your own bits.
With people's trash.
Yes, he lives in a trash can. So
Is that his home then?
I think so. I think
The
Oscar
trash
the
can.
Grouch.
Well, if you're just going to define home as where you sleep, then no one is homeless.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, home is where the heart is too. So anyway, if you would like to hear the trial, I would call it a show trial. I don't know.
I must have woken Smitty up because he just got back to me.
Yeah,
and it was Kevin Anderson. So.
Okay.
All right, good.
He confirmed.
Patreon.com/therapy. You can hear the entire Shenanigans court trial as well as get some free, or I guess you're paying for this, so not cheap anyway. Fitness advice. Check it out. Nick gave me some.
Jim
cool
got
coaching.
free fitness
Jim's
advice.
super fit now.
Yeah. Wow, that was easy.
Here's the thing.
Just one session with Nick, and
Yeah.
look at these abs.
Didn't even stand up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would just like to take the time to remind you, I gave you the opportunity of being a mental fit client
I remember
for
this.
free.
Yes, I remember this. I remember this. The gym you work out of is further than I want to drive
Really?
by about 1 mile.
I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, I mean, what? Like, I have shit to do.
Turns
Nick.
out Nick has just started working at a gym 1 mile closer to you, Nick.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah.
If they would allow you into Planet Fitness, I'd work with you there, but I'm pretty sure that they don't allow
No,
people
they don't do
that
that.
know how to do it. So that's not the deal. So.
No.
They don't
feel
want
like
Nick
it's-
in there being like, push harder, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's so mean. That's part of the problem. Plus,
that
he'd just
one
be
machine.
pissed that we're all enjoying our pizza buffet. Just like, what is this? Get
It's
out.
the yogurt bar that really
No
gets it.
lunks allowed. Yeah, there's a yogurt bar.
Frozen yogurt.
Very
There's
nice.
just a
It's a
TCBY right in the
smoothie
middle.
This is why the McFlurry machines don't work at McDonald's. Right. Because they've all the
The one at
working
Planet
ones.
Fitness works perfect.
Always. Union labor. Anyway, great questions in today's episode. And we're leading off with coping with pregnancy loss from Anonymous.
Start off with an easy one.
Yeah, geez, let's dive right in. Hi, guys, and Whitney. I wanted to start by saying thank you. I wrote in a question a while ago about non-suicidal self-harm, and your advice really helped open up the discussion for my therapist and I. Now I'm writing because I went through something 4 months ago I never thought I would go through and would appreciate some advice. I got pregnant in July of 2023, and it started off as a completely normal pregnancy. However, in September of 23, I went for a doctor appointment and heard the worst news I have ever received in my life. I had a twin complete molar pregnancy with a viable fetus. In regular people speak, it means that one of the eggs developed into a normal, healthy baby, and the other one developed into a tumor. I was rushed that same day to the biggest hospital in my state because my thyroid had completely stopped working and my liver was shutting down because of the tumor. There was no way to save the healthy baby, unfortunately, and I had to go into an emergency DNC, which, due to my state's abortion bans, was an entire thing as they tried to get around it to save my life.
It pisses me off.
Wow. Following the DNC, I thought I was fine for the most part, but a month later, had a literal mental breakdown and ended up having to go to an inpatient hospital. After inpatient, I completed 7 weeks of intensive outpatient, and it helped. My biggest problem is the therapist at intensive outpatient and my outpatient therapist said that I'm in the grieving process and there isn't much anyone can do to help me, so I just have to write it out. They taught me a lot of DBT skills, which have helped me to manage, but I'm still struggling. There are no support groups in my area, so that's not an option. So a couple questions if you guys made it to the end of this super long, super sad question. Number 1, are there any ways to deal with the survivor's guilt of having to choose to save my life over my baby's? My family is very religious, and I know they look at me different because of this decision as well. Number 2, when do you know you are mentally ready to do something again after it had caused you trauma in the past? Number 3, do you guys know of any resources for coping with pregnancy loss? Sorry this is so long, and if you guys can't answer it, I understand. Thank you for everything you do. Ellie. P.S. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, Allie.
Oh my gosh, the abortion bans in these states are...
I think it's very easy for me, cis white dude, to forget that there are situations where a person could be in this exact moment, right?
Yeah.
Where
Right.
this is
Well, and we're fortunate. Nevada, I
Nevada's-
believe, has it in the Constitution that abortion is just a right.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
playing around with it.
Yeah.
But it's situations like that you realize, oh, every single citizen on the planet hears that story and goes, oh my goodness, it became a tumor?
Yeah.
We have to save your life. Your liver shutting down, your thyroid, oh my God. This is clearly beyond what we all think of as pregnancy or the conversation of how we feel about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
This is clearly way beyond that. Like, I can't think of any sane person who would hear that story and be like, nope, this is murder. They'd hear like, oh, Jesus, okay, I'm sorry that happened to you. Let's just get this right, get you taken care of, and then we'll sort out.
And of course, the
other
doctors
things
are
later.
in bad spots oftentimes as well,
They
because
wanna
the
save your
doctors are
life.
trying to figure out what the fuck to do with legalities.
In some states, they're being charged with murder.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, come on. Like, so anyway, politics aside, holy shit.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
it's terrible.
To even
It's
have to
tragic.
think about that or worry about it for a second in a situation like that has got to be horrible. So, man, the survivor's guilt that may come with that as well is just, that's a tough place to be, especially when I really believe that majority of parents having biological children, you would give anything. You would give your life for your child.
Of course, yeah.
And that's the instinct there. But we also have instincts to survive ourselves. Like
Right.
that's innate as well. And so,
And she was only 2 months pregnant.
yeah.
So she couldn't have viably
Yeah.
carried to term
Right.
and died. Like this was not like you're at the 9th month, you're about to deliver. It's a choice between you or the baby.
Yeah, your liver's
This is-
failing.
No, this
There-
is 2
yeah.
months in.
Yeah.
Like your first trimester. Like if you don't carry, there is no baby going to happen.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it almost kind of feels like I should just stop the sentence there. I'm not a doctor.
Jacob is. He won my doctorate in a bag.
But
It's true.
it does almost kind of feel like the choices weren't like my life or my baby's.
No,
It was
that's not it.
Yeah, it was like if I need to live, this is what I have to do, or everyone dies.
Yes.
Like there's no...
Arguably, I'm not sure what an OBGYN would say, but I
Mm-hmm.
could imagine one of them saying, this was not a viable pregnancy.
Yeah.
It is growing beside a tumor.
Yeah.
This will be a problem for the baby as well.
Yeah. Yeah, which is essentially where kind of I was going with that. Like you made the best decision.
Or the only decision.
Yeah, like with all the information we know, with all of the input from your doctors, and the viability. Because sometimes our emotions are can feel irrational. You know, it's like thinking, could I have done something different?
Sure.
And even though it's like, all the information said there was nothing else they could have done, there's nothing you could have done differently or better than the choice that you made. It's like deep down our emotions are still there, like
If I had
pulling
eaten
at
that
us.
second helping of spinach a month ago, would that have fixed this?
It's definitely the pizza that made Jim sore.
Yeah.
So
What about the doctor telling her that she's just in mourning and kind of has to ride that out?
I don't like the way that's worded,
I
even
don't
though I think I understand what maybe they were trying to say by that. I mean,
Well, because if somebody tried to say, I think I have depression, I think that all of us that are supposed to be looking at the DSM-5 would go, yeah, I mean, by definition, probably not, right? Because we know that there's a precipitating event.
yeah,
And so we probably would diagnose bereavement.
yeah, absolutely.
Or there's now that new disorder, prolonged grief disorder,
yeah.
which I don't know that we've hit if this all took place over the summer. But 6 months or longer is now prolonged grief disorder, so that is possible.
Yeah, I think we'd be at like 5 months right now. Yeah,
But I agree with your point, Jacob, because it sounds like dismissive.
It sounds like someone told her that sorry, there's
and like
nothing
hopeless.
to be done.
Yeah.
And whatever you're feeling right now, you're just going to keep feeling it until you don't feel it anymore.
Right.
And that's it. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it almost kind of feels like a little dismissive in the sense like, hey, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Whereas, I can kind of see how the therapist could have said this in a way that acknowledges the fact that there's only one way out and that's through. But then also in a way that like, oh, but this doesn't mean that you have to do it on your own.
Right.
Or that you just have to wait it out. It's like, hey, yeah, this sucks. And I'm here to help you through it.
Right.
And we're going to slowly manage this, but also acknowledging that it's not just there's no fix to it. We're just going to take two of these and call me in the morning.
Exactly.
You're
'cause
forever
if you're gonna help
changed.
them, you want to right size what the problem is itself, right? And so if the person's like, when am I going to get better? What's wrong with me? Which we hear a lot. People say, hey, what's wrong with me? What's going on? I do think that we have some kind of a duty to be able to say, hey, look, this is grieving. This is complex grief.
Yeah.
It probably is also trauma. That's all present, but it doesn't
Especially
look like you always had depression.
unexpected like that. I ironically, I really just yesterday had a conversation with like a friend of a friend who had gone through the loss of a child, and we were just talking about this topic and how you are forever changed from that. In any capacity. I know they were early in their pregnancy, but it wasn't expected. It's like I thought I was gonna have healthy babies even. And then all of a sudden this quick turn of events with one doctor visit, that absolutely is creating trauma. And then the loss of a potentially viable pregnancy, if not for that tumor.
And a life-threatening event, which textbook qualifies for what we're talking about with trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I hope the therapist was trying to say, at least, is that this will be a part of you for the rest of your life, but how do you manage it? And like Nick said, how do you get through that? And how do you come out the other side? Which I think ties into kind of the other question that you asked as well.
One thing I just want to make note of is I am so proud of you, writer, for going to inpatient. You mentioned that you had a mental breakdown, and that's something that happens privately. That's something that's happening inwardly. It's very easy to not tell anybody, and for a while we usually don't. And the fact that you shared that with somebody you obviously called for help or allowed people that love you to help you, and you checked into a psych hospital. And for a lot of folks, that's a step they either are unwilling to take or will not take. And you did it. And I'm really proud of you. And not only that you went to the hospital when you realized you needed to, but then you followed through with the program, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to explain what IOP
Yeah,
was
please
as
do.
well.
They don't. The audience probably doesn't know what all this is.
Yeah. So IOP, what Jim said, in intensive outpatient programming is typically, if I remember from my insurance brain, typically about 3 hours a day, 3 times a week or so. You go and sometimes it's in a hospital, sometimes it's in more of a like outpatient facility, but typically they are tied to hospitals, inpatient mental health hospitals. And you're doing group therapy, you're doing individual therapy, and I believe individual therapy is each day that you're in there at least for
3 hours.
Yeah, for one of those. And then like group therapy sessions in addition to that. So yeah, I'm glad
really
you shared
quick,
that.
The hierarchy of levels of care, just general PSA. Outpatient is level 1. And that's whenever you're just going to see a therapist like 1 hour a week, up to a couple hours a week, if that's what you're doing. Intensive outpatient is what Whitney just described. I think it's 9 to 12 hours, Nick, or is it 9 to 15?
Well, it depends. I mean, like if you're talking substance use versus mental health. So if it's substance use, then you've got ASAM criteria, and that's IOP would be 9 to 19 hours.
All the way up to 19.
Yeah,
Wow.
because it's
up to 3 hours a day.
Yep.
And then the next level is PHP.
partial hospitalization programming.
That's whenever they don't stay the night at the program.
No, it's more like day treatment. So you're there pretty much all day.
Like 5 or 6 hours a day.
Probably 5 days a week.
It's usually 25 hours a week, essentially.
Yeah. So you're spending all your time among mental health professionals and among other people in the program. And then you're going home and you're sleeping, but then you're coming back, you're having breakfast, you're getting into the program, taking a break for lunch. And then the highest level is inpatient. Yeah. Which is what the person went to. And that's psych hospital, or if you're doing substance use.
Oh, residential, we skipped
residential. Well, I mean, residential is inpatient.
No.
It's one step lower.
No. So inpatient technically means medical model.
Yeah.
Okay.
Residential is clinical.
Like you could be potential harm to yourself or others.
So like that's why if you look at ASAM criteria, 3.1, 3.5, 3.7 all say clinically managed, but then 3.7 is medically monitored.
Yeah.
And then when you get to 4, that's medical.
Okay.
And that's why so if you notice, if you read the language very carefully, it switches from saying residential to inpatient when you get to those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're all proud of you for that. You did it, and then you followed through on it, and, you did the next right thing. I think, 2 thoughts out of me, and that'll probably be what I have on this. One, I went through a miscarriage. My spouse and I did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is devastating. There is no good way through it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I mean, I've told the story years ago on the show, but I mean, we were probably similarly pregnant. We were coming in between 2 and 3 months. And, my wife went in to do a quick ultrasound. And I was actually in private practice that day. I was working 2 different jobs, and private practice was one of them. And it was on a Saturday. And then she called in between sessions, or had called and left a message. And so then I called her back as I'm, goodbye to one person and getting ready to go out into the lobby and get the second. And then she told me, I went to the ultrasound. There's no heartbeat. And we're scheduling DNC. There'll be next steps. I'm on my way home.
I know nothing about babies, pregnancies, vaginas, nothing about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Just where they are.
DNC.
Yeah.
Oh God, Jacob might have to look it up, but it is the procedure where you are vacuumed.
Gotcha.
And so everything is removed.
Okay.
Because the fetus and all that will not be reabsorbed.
Right. Oh, it's the Democratic National Committee.
There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe
yes.
Democratic of the Congo.
Yeah.
I believe is what it is. And a medical procedure.
Yeah. Don't they give you like medication to help that along?
It's a
as
surgery.
well?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You're under general anesthesia.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you are put under, and there is a basically, I don't want to be crude, but it's a cleaning out. So,
Ooh, D&C.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
DNC.
Ampersand.
Yes.
Ah.
No, because you were right about
Yeah.
DNC.
Yeah, yeah.
Jacob's
That's
like,
also
what? What else do you
yeah.
need?
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what they're looking for, but that is the first thing that came up.
Yeah.
Dilation and cuturage.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a devastating experience, and we were told, or I was told, and then had to go to the lobby, right, and get the next patient, and try to deal with life. So it is a devastating thing. As far as how we got through it, Ryder, I mean, first off, I just want to resonate with your pain. It is impossible to explain what it's like to go through this because it's not theoretical. And for the woman, obviously, it's 10x whatever I was feeling, because this is so personal. You're so connected. For me as a father, it was theoretical. For her, it was real. So the way we got through it, I mean, there were support groups, and our doctor was able to put us in touch with that. And there's, so many other folks that go through this. And so it's, especially in today's day and age, there could be Zoom groups. Sometimes that stuff's not very helpful though, right? Because you join these groups and you're just surrounded in a circle of sorrow and everybody's mourning, and hearing other people's mourning can be tough and isn't always uplifting. For us, it was family. And we were really, I think, supported by elder members of our family. A lot of other women in our family had been through something similar. And so just feeling seen and feeling understood, not feeling dismissed. And then people in our lives not telling us like, hey, it'll get better. Don't worry, you'll have another one.
Yeah.
Don't ever, just
God.
quick PSA. Don't ever fucking
Don't do
that.
it.
Don't do it. It's unspoken. We all know it. And the writer said that. The writer says, hey, big picture.
I had a dog once that ran
Right.
away.
Yeah, don't worry, Nick. You'll get another one.
Right.
There's a lot of dogs.
Next one.
In fact, why are we even talking about that?
You know what? Let's
go get
switch to
another
Nick's vein here.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It's exactly that. So it's like, you don't want to talk about it from that angle. But yeah, being supported by those who resonate, who have been through it. I think being with your partner a lot and giving yourselves permission to talk about what could have been, to talk about your feelings when they're happening, not feeling the need to cure, rescue each other, but just to be present in it. For a lot of us, it's very common to do a ceremony.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
if y'all do any type of like remembrance. Or...
Our neighbor did. So we
Aw.
had very good friends who a year earlier also went through a miscarriage. And when you do a DNC, you can request the fetus.
I've heard
And
this.
so they did a burial,
Okay.
and there was they needed to do that, and that was part of their closure process.
Mm.
And so there are proper ways that people can request that and go through that process. Obviously, for the writer, that's no longer an option.
Yeah.
But doing some kind of ceremony is sometimes, I think, proper. And if you think, well, gosh, are we really supposed to? Well, the majority of your species does that when things die.
Yeah.
We do it when our grandparents die, when our spouses die, when we die. We expect that people will do something that explains that this has happened and gives everybody a chance to resonate with the moment. So as sometimes trivial as that can sound, it is really profound to give yourself permission to do that. If you have people in your life that want to do that with you. We didn't choose to for our miscarriage. For us, it was a process. One of the hardest fucking things about miscarriage, besides what you're going through individually, is now having to tell everybody. And because you've started this pregnancy and you started telling people in your life, you start calling your parents and your siblings, and you start, this is the age of Facebook and all this shit. I mean, we had Facebook back then, but we weren't big users of it. But yeah, you're telling the world, and now you have to untell everybody. And then it is just a punch in the stomach every fucking time.
Or if people ask about it.
Yeah, they follow up with you and they go, "Oh my God, you're not even showing," and we lost the baby 4 weeks ago.
Dick.
Oh, and so it's terrible. And so like for a while, she's obviously going through
That's why you don't
procedure.
say shit to people if you think they might be pregnant.
Just don't talk. That would be a great idea.
You
You're
wait
not
for them
showing.
to mention
They'll bring it up. Yeah, they'll
Yep.
bring it up.
Yep.
Yep. So
I don't even mention it after they've had the baby.
Yeah.
No, they're like pushing
Where did
it
that
around.
come from?
I don't
Nick, would
look
you like
at
to
it.
hold
I
the
don't
baby?
acknowledge it.
The who? The who now? I don't want to presume anything.
Oh my God, you have a baby.
it's-
Oh wow.
This little
That's
guy
so
is
nice,
or
yeah.
girl. I don't
Is this
fucking know.
your
I'm
baby?
sorry. Yeah. Is this your baby? So anyway, that is a big part of it. I mean, obviously you've had some time now. As we're recording this, it's February, so some time has gone by. And hopefully that's allowed you to kind of begin that process of releasing. But, you know, when are you ready to, I think, you know, approach next steps in your life again? And, you know, when is it time for you to think about that? It is scary as hell. And I know whenever you're thinking about trying again, it is so hard to imagine doing that. One part of you feels disrespectful to the loss, like you're betraying them somehow. One part of you feels terrified to love again and to try again. What if something bad happens? Especially when you've had a medical anomaly like what the writers had. You're like, well, am I healthy enough for this?
Mm-hmm.
Will something bad happen? What happens if they discover another tumor and I'm 7 months pregnant?
Yeah.
And so you are very, very scared.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're doing therapy. I think that's going to be a big part of kind of finding your readiness. But you'll also never be perfectly ready.
Yeah.
When we were finally pregnant again, which became our daughter, it was within the year after the DNC. And so it was probably within 6 months after that. It was not planned. It was also not something we were saying, well, we're not ready, because we were ready. We wanted a child, you know, and that was the plan. And so that was still something that we were kind of in the back of our heads hoping for. But yeah, it's very complex.
Yeah.
So it's very organic. And for us, whenever we discovered we were pregnant, we were very quiet about that pregnancy. We didn't want to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
For
we
quite
waited,
a while.
Yeah, we waited like whatever the number is, the 15
12
weeks or
weeks
12
or-
weeks,
yeah.
to kind of clear all the hurdles. So it's an organic process, Ryder.
There's one other thing that it feels silly to say this, but I've heard from others that this can potentially be helpful. But you mentioned Facebook, you know, potentially looking into a Facebook group, and you don't have to share your own stuff on there, but maybe go
That's
poke
a great
around
idea.
and see if it seems like a healthy space to maybe remind yourself you're not alone, to see empathy and sympathy shared with others on what they've
Right.
been going through, and kind of just healing words being shared, even if you're not the one like posting yet, or if you decide to,
Yes.
whatever.
Well, it's such a unique grieving experience.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like those kinds of support groups are very, very healthy. Because even look at what the writer's talking about with their own therapist team, and sometimes feeling a little, maybe, and the writer didn't tell us they felt dismissed. They were just letting us know they've been told it's grief.
Sure.
Which is fine. I think we interpret it as a slight, but it's probably not to
Yeah.
them. But it is so difficult to find anybody who resonates with you. So like, I love
Yeah.
that idea, because if you're connecting to other, especially to connect to other women that, you know, have personally felt what you're feeling, and that's, you know, profound, just to be seen.
What I see, for how insane the internet is in so many ways, I have seen that in this realm of loss and miscarriage, especially surrounding pregnancies, I see so much support and love and care shared. I'm always surprised that, I mean, I shouldn't be,
Because the
but
internet's an awful place.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
like, you just expect the worst all the time,
Yeah.
but I feel like I see tons of support, and it doesn't even matter. It sounds bad. There's like a snark page I follow. Even if you're a terrible human, people will still be like,
Right.
you went through, oh, I will never touch
Hands
that.
off.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to snark on that.
Take
Like
care of 'em.
they
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, there's a lot of sympathy for it.
Yeah. So anyway, that was all I had.
Anyway, it's a really tough one, Ryder. We're all rooting for you. I mean, you find resources where you can. I would encourage you to call your OBGYN and just ask the secretary, hey, is there anything you're aware of? A lot of times they do have those
That's a great
resources.
idea.
I love your idea of Facebook groups and just searching in your area. If you call a women's services clinic, a lot of communities have special programs that are just women and children's programs. And if you call and just ask for referrals, they'll probably have stuff too. But I really encourage you to keep up with this. The grieving may be very complex. It may take a very long time. I think you absolutely have the right to call this trauma, and that's a big part of this too. And I think that it's tough as a therapist because there's not a bag of tricks we can do to relieve you of this, which is where if I were your therapist, I would probably call it grief too.
Yeah.
Not to be dismissive, but just to help you right size what it is, that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not distorting cognitively what's happening. You're not wrong sizing things. You're not making this shit up. You went through a life and death situation and you experienced inexpressible loss. We're just going to have to hold that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's just profound. And so my only advice is that with time, the healing begins, and we allow ourselves to say goodbye in our own way. But you are not guilty as a survivor. You didn't just make a good choice or the right choice. I believe you made the only choice.
Yeah.
The alternative choice was just death.
Yeah.
There was not a choice where, the baby can live, but you would die. How could you be so selfish? If my math checks out, that is not even part of this conversation.
Yeah.
And that's got to be the narrative to help
Yes.
work through some of that, because again, our emotions.
It was
tied
not
to
a
it
viable
will-
pregnancy.
It saddens me to hear, too, the sentence, my family is very religious, and I know they look at me different because of this decision as well. Like, and again, like, that was the correct decision, and you should, if anybody who has to relive this situation should make that same decision
Absolutely.
over and over again, and
there wasn't
no one should
another
be judged for
The
that.
definition of pregnancy is not death to the mother. So
Yeah.
you do
No.
not have a viable pregnancy if death is
No.
required
Yeah.
to pursue it in any amount. That is not realistic.
No.
Not even a question of realistic. It's just that is not a pregnancy. You know,
No.
it's not a viable pregnancy, period.
Mm-mm.
So I would really hope that your family over time will think about that. And also be careful not to overread into them. Sometimes when I
thought
hear
that
things
too.
like,
Yeah.
they haven't said this, but because I know they are religious, I assume certain conclusions. This week, our Patreon content is me explaining my religion. And so if you're really bored, and you want to
boy.
blow an hour and a half.
Scientology?
Yes, I finally get to explain
Not the
Battlefield
Patreon
Earth.
before this show.
Yeah.
But the individual freestanding
The
thing.
Monday,
Correct.
Monday
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Not the extended show. But in that one, I talk about how oftentimes, because of going to Liberty or whatever, people would not jump, but hey, they'd reach a conclusion based on just guessing,
Yeah.
based on leading examples. Oh, I'll bet Jim thinks this about that.
Yeah.
And that would sometimes be sucky for me. And I'd say, look, I'm not mad at you, but that's poop, because that's not how I feel. And I'm really sad that, the reputation of this group that I was affiliated with scared you and made you think something of me that wasn't true.
But that is what groups do.
It is what groups do.
Being in a group.
Oh, I get it.
Like if there
Yeah.
was, if Pod Therapy had an official stance on something,
Right.
it would not be unfair for someone to believe that the four of us believed in that stance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. But I think it's also a word of caution that if
Certainly.
your own family, just approach that maybe with curiosity to
Yeah.
ask them, hey, how do you feel about this? If that's something you can stand to ask.
Yeah. I was going to say, it kind of tells me that they may not be comfortable even approaching the subject, because
Sounds
it's like,
like
well,
it.
I know
Yeah.
how they feel about abortion, and they're going to lump this in with that.
I
and
sure don't
that's
think
so
of this as an
sad.
abortion.
I know.
Wow. Well, anyway,
Yeah,
Ryder,
I'm
thank you for
sorry.
this story. Thank you for sharing with us. We're all rooting for you.
Yeah.
And as I've said a million times before, and I'll say it again, come down to the Discord. We have a great community. In the last episode, several of the writers jumped into the episode about them
Yeah.
and said, hey, I wrote this one. And they were just absolutely shown love and, comforted and coached and supported by the community. So just know that you have a safe place with us. So that'll always be true. We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking about being a hopeless addict. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
We got all the light lifting today.
Jesus, we're getting all the good ones in.
It is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. We got some trivia this week sent in to us by Sandra McPancake.
Yeah.
Woo!
McWaffle.
I believe
McAuliffe.
it's McCrape.
McAuliffe.
Crepe.
Crepe. Crepe.
It's a very thin pancake.
Those are so good, though. Have
They
you ever had
are,
a crepe?
yes.
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
Crepes
Yep.
are great.
Okay. Hello, Seafood Sugar Cookie members, Fan and Jacob.
I think he's the band manager.
I have he wants
No,
nothing
that
to do
was
with
the
this.
that was the correct greeting.
I have some trivia for you. Woo. This will work much like the categories trivia that you've done recently. I'll give you 5 actors/actresses, and you will have to buzz in and say what characters they have all played.
Shit.
This will include movies and TV series, both live action and animated. For example, if I give you the names Mark Hamill, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger,
I got it. Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
the answer, of course, would be
The Joker.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mark
Luke
Hamill?
Skywalker.
He was
Yeah,
the,
he did the
voice in
voice.
the cartoon.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't have got that. Was the
I
one
only
was
know
like,
that
what?
because of my ICS co-host, Paul Mattingly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Man, who
I know
would
that for exactly one reason.
Okay, I was like, I didn't know that.
There are also details below each answer that list which movie, TV show each person was in to prevent any to prevent any
Shenanigans.
official declarations of shenanigans.
Oh, well, we wouldn't want that.
Wow.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Damn
Let
it.
this become a kangaroo court.
P.S. There's 10 questions, so feel free to split them up however you need to.
So you're going to name performers, and we're going to buzz in and name the character they all played.
Correct.
Okay.
So we can buzz in at any
Okay.
time.
All right,
Yes.
I like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's helpful because then the more clues you get,
Yeah.
the better you're going to zero in on.
And if you get a wrong one, do you lose a point?
you get punched in the mouth,
Punched right in the mouth. Got it.
Kicked
square in the
face.
jaw.
No
Okay.
loss a point, but you get punched.
Yeah.
Question number 1.
I think I'd rather lose the point.
Honestly, I think I'll take the loss.
Christopher Lee, Leslie Nielsen, Nicolas Cage, Gary Old. I'm Buzz.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh.
Fuck.
Can you read the other
I
names?
want to say Superman
Gary Oldman.
Nick Cage.
voice.
Oh.
Oh, Nicholas Cage. Yeah, I think Nick Cage did have a Superman
Oh.
appearance.
Really?
It was a movie that never got made.
What?
They
Yeah.
filmed part of it. He
Yeah.
was Superman, but it
Damn
never
it.
actually
Do you
got
want to
released.
look and see if you're right, but not tell us the answer?
I am not right.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So we've got
So what are all
Gary
the names?
Oldman, Nicholas
I don't know who that
Cage,
Leslie Nielsen,
Leslie Nielsen.
Gary Oldman, Bella Lugosi.
Dude, Leslie Nielsen is
Oh,
fucking me
Buzz. Dracula.
Yes.
Oh,
Christopher Lee was throwing me
yes,
off, but,
Dracula.
like
I forgot
blood-
Nick Cage has that new
Yeah.
show.
And like the blood of Dracula or something like that. That was the Christopher Lee Dracula.
Christopher
good
Lee.
Christopher Lee, who I
he
believe
in,
was like a POW in World War II. Or like he
I
was
want to
like,
see that new Nick Cage one.
Oh, it's
okay.
good.
Looks
It's
so
funny.
good.
Yeah.
It looks so
So
funny.
Christopher Lee in multiple Dracula movies, like a
Okay.
lot. Leslie Nielsen,
Dracula dead and loving it.
Oh, damn it.
I love that movie.
Nicolas Cage, Renfield.
Yep.
Yes.
Gary Oldman, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Sure.
I did not care for that
And
one.
Bela Lugosi from Dracula 1931.
The OG.
Oh,
The OD.
Oh,
there it is.
okay, question number 2. Here we go. Theodore Roberts, Val Kilmer,
Ooh.
Christian Bale.
Bing, 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 buzz. Batman.
Batman.
I'm Batman.
No.
What was
God
the, what was
damn
the
it.
first name you said?
Theodore Roberts,
Theodore Roberts.
Val Kilmer, Christian Bale, Mel Brooks,
What?
Charlton Heston.
What?
I had to look at the answer to see if he was right.
I
so
I think I do know who it is. So I'd like a rebound
Buzz?
if everybody
No.
fails.
Moses.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
what it was. These 15
Jacob's killing it.
10 commandments.
Every now and then we hit a little vein of like
I
Jacob
know.
questions.
I got it. His Slumdog Millionaire moments.
Theodore Roberts, The 10 Commandments from 1923. Val Kilmer,
Yep.
Prince of Egypt.
Sure.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot he was that
wow.
voice. I'm bad at the voices.
Christian
the
Bale,
voices are hard.
Exodus,
Oh, man.
Gods and Kings.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Mel Brooks, History of the World, Part 1.
Christian Bale was
such
the one
a
I
good
didn't know. I was like, I'm guessing because I know the others have it.
And Charlton Heston, The 10 Commandments
Sure.
from 1956.
You just talked about the history of the world.
Moses.
Okay,
Oh my
let's
God.
do one
What a
more.
shitty
All right.
movie.
Okay.
Carolyn Jones.
Wait, what was the shitty movie?
The 10 Commandments with Charleston.
Oh, it's a landmark movie though.
That's fine.
It's that movie all those movies like that, the Liz Taylor, Cleopatra,
Yeah.
movies like those would cost $1 billion to make today. Those are movies that are not able to be made outside of the production system that existed when like Metro Goldwyn Mayer owned this group of actors and like had these
Yes.
sets and like.
Yes.
You can't make them today. You can't make them outside of the studio system. They're too
Good, because it was dog
outrageously
shit.
expensive.
I'm good with that.
Carolyn Jones, Charlize Theron, Daryl Hannah, Angelica Houston, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I feel like I'm.
Oh, God damn it.
Give them to us again.
Yeah.
Carolyn Jones, Charlize Theron, Daryl Hannah, Angelica Houston, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I mean, I'd guess if I wouldn't get punched in the mouth.
Too bad.
Catherine Zeta-Jones is what's killing
We'll
me.
let Jim punch you in the mouth so you won't feel it.
Right.
I worked out.
I don't
And
know.
it hurt.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm like
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and Charlize Theron.
All right, I'm going to go with the sexy snake lady that is a vampire.
Oh,
No.
Shit.
I was like Medusa.
Do you have a guess?
Uh,
I would never have gotten this one.
I think I know
okay,
it.
I don't know.
Actually,
you just
I'd like to-
said.
What do you think it is?
Why do you always think you have it after
it's
you've
going to
answered it?
be like Helen of Troy, or it's going to be like a goddess or something,
Yeah.
because I think that's what it is.
I have no idea. What is it, Nick?
The Helen of Troy of Halloween, Morticia Adams.
shit.
Carolyn.
Charlize Theron was
Wait,
a Morticia
Charlize.
Adams?
Yeah, is that a voice one too?
Carolyn Jones, The Addams Family from 1964,
Oh, I didn't know her
the
name.
TV series.
Da-da-da-da.
Daryl Hannah, The Addams Family Reunion, 1998. Charlize Theron, The Addams Family 2019 animated movie.
Oh, okay.
Angelica Houston from 1991, and Addams Family Values from 93.
Right.
I like those movies. Those were, and Catherine
is
Zeta-Jones
in
from
the
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Ah, I didn't know she was in
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Morticia
That's
and
perfect.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I forgot.
All right.
That's fun.
Quick side note. One of my all-time favorite Penn Jillette reflections, which I'm sure was not his observation. I'm sure he was telling a story that he had heard somewhere else. But he was reflecting on the difference between TV's The Munsters
Yeah.
Oh,
And
the
and the Addams
Munsters.
Family, and how the Munsters wanted to fit in with the world, right? And the Addams Family 100% accepted themselves for who they were, and go fuck yourself world, like they were just being them.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really fascinating. Like, yeah, that's a really cool comparison.
The Munsters wanted to fit in. I guess
don't
they
know. I
tried
feel
to
like-
assimilate. They
Yeah,
were
it's
kind of
more like they
they were
wanted
like-
to do.
The Munsters wanted to be friends with everybody.
yeah. Yeah.
They wanted to
yeah.
be part of society.
yeah, they saw themselves as different and wanted to. They were aware of it and were trying to address it.
The Munsters? I thought
The
they
Munsters.
didn't.
They still stood out, like, you know.
Oh no, the
Yeah.
Munsters knew they were different,
Yeah,
but they
Well,
were
'cause I
still
remember-
they still wanted to be an active part of society.
Because I remember the niece.
Right.
They
Is the
thought was
normal
really
one.
weird.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she's
she was
so
like
weird.
the
She'll
She's
never
blonde,
get it.
blue-eyed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for our niece. She's
Yeah.
odd. And they're like, what? She's like the normal one. Anyway, Hopeless Addict from Anonymous. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for everything you all do here. I really value the advice you give. I'm starting to feel hopeless about an addiction. I hate myself for constantly making the wrong choices, but I can't seem to get myself to change. So I'm just stuck in an endless loop of self-hatred and turning to the substance to feel better. I get that it's important to stop the self-loathing, but I just don't understand how to do that when I'm clearly doing the wrong thing over and over and over again and constantly failing at recovery. On top of that, I've spent the last 20 years jumping from one bad coping mechanism to another. I'm at the point where I'm the only one to blame, and I just don't know what to do. In your experience, is addiction always tied to some sort of deeper issue that has to be worked through in therapy? Or are there more practical things someone can do to get through the intense cravings? Any advice you can offer would be very much appreciated. Anonymous.
I'm going to give my 2 cents because I know y'all are going to take away with this one. But the two things that came to mind for me is I think a lot of addiction issues can stem from upbringing, trauma,
Oh, hell
all these
yeah.
things. Like I would,
Yes.
in my opinion, majority, but
Yes.
I could be wrong. But not all.
Yeah.
Can't lump them all in. And then secondly, I mean, not to oversimplify things, but gosh, that doesn't really technically get rid of cravings, but people I knew who are in recovery, they had to straight up, you leave wherever like you were getting the things before. Like
Right.
you're associating a like street corner with that's where I got that. You're associating like passing by a motel, like that's where I picked up that substance or whatever, and you don't really specify what you were into, and that's okay. But anyone I know is like they're like, I cannot be around it, and
Right.
so I feel like that reduces the urge, maybe not the craving, but that
Big part of it.
moment of weakness where they're like, I've had someone say, you know, if like Coke was on the table right here, I would do it done. And
Right.
they were like, yeah, we're in recovery.
Yeah, it takes options away.
Yeah. So I don't know. Those are my simplified responses.
Good answers, Whitney.
Thanks.
I like it.
All right, moving
All
on.
right.
Yeah, I think that's all that we need
Whitney,
on that
knock
one.
that one out of the
I'm
park.
really good at
Can't
this.
improve on perfection. It's a good question, Nick.
All right, so here's where I would like to start. I'd like to start first with kind of an understanding of the biology of addiction, because I think you have to understand that.
The beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning.
You have to understand that in order for us to kind of make any kind of breakthrough when it comes to these feelings of, God, I hate myself. Why can't I get this figured out? So we have to understand, and this is, I'm glad this is a great question to have, because the majority of our society does not understand the biology of addiction, because we are still stuck in this 1950s way of viewing addiction where this is a moral failing.
Right.
This is the result of people who make bad choices and they lack resolve. It's a character defect.
Yeah.
It's all of these things. And that is very far from the truth. But we still, as a society, still have that belief, which is why it's so hard. Like I always joke that I always envied, like, groups raising money for kids.
Oh, right. Because they'll never.
Oh my God, money just falls from the fucking sky for these kids. Try raising money for drug addiction.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
If you're raising money for
junkies.
breast cancer, you're getting fucking money. If you're raising money for lung cancer, you can go fuck yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And it's this stigma that is just all about they fucked up.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't mean that there's no component of personal responsibility.
Sure.
You're always responsible for your choices. Okay. But let's reframe this so we understand what choices you actually have.
Right.
So I'm going to dig really deep here. So bear with me for a second. We talk a lot about dopamine, right? As far as dopamine is a neurotransmitter. If you experience pleasure in something, you're experiencing a rush of dopamine.
Right.
Dopamine is very important because it's part of learning. Okay. Now, let's say you enjoy reading books. If you read a book, you get a little bit of dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat food, you get a little bit of dopamine.
Right.
Okay. If you go 2 days without reading a book and 2 days without eating food, how does your brain know that it needs food, that your body needs food, and not, I need to read a book?
Okay. Yeah.
How does it know that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it knows it based off the amount of dopamine.
Right.
Okay, so you get just a little bump when you read a
Just a little
book.
bump.
You get a significant amount when you eat. So when you go time without those, your brain knows this is important because this was a larger amount of dopamine.
The quantity.
So that's how
By that logic, there is a books to meal ratio that we can figure out
Snacks.
to
If
figure
you
out
read
what
enough
the
books.
level of dopamine is.
Yeah.
Like,
If you
this
read
is,
Ulysses,
this is like a 9
you
book
did it.
meal.
Yeah.
It's a 9-book meal.
So here's what happens when we start introducing all of these foreign substances. If we start introducing opiates and meth and alcohol and all these different things, well, you're getting a big rush of dopamine. But unfortunately, you're getting a rush of dopamine that far exceeds what you would get from food. So this is why we see when people come into treatment, they're very malnourished. Yeah, because they haven't eaten forever.
Damn.
Right.
Yeah.
And so because
Or
the
brush their
body,
teeth.
so the body knows okay, I haven't had food in 48 hours and I haven't had meth in 48 hours. If I have to choose, I'm going to choose the meth because that was the higher rush of dopamine. Right. So there's a biological component here. And this is the thing that frustrates me, and I think a lot of people, is because, if one of these, if somebody who's suffering from addiction, they're in a drug court program and they go in front of the judge and they have to explain to the judge, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't know why I did that. I had these cravings and I couldn't stop myself. they're being sincere.
Right.
They're not lying about that.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I was
Which
like
is
to
the reason
explain,
that might not need to get settled in legal court. It might need to get settled
they
by
know.
doctors and people that know what they're doing.
Good point.
and
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Or combined forces.
well, that and that's what a drug court program is. Is
Yeah.
like, but either
it's a
way,
Voltron.
the
There it is.
the important point here though is that when I explain this to people who know nothing about substance use disorder, I explain it's not like if I go 2 days without a donut.
Right.
It's more like if I go 2 days without food.
Yeah.
That's the level of intensity that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing because we all use craving.
Right.
Everybody uses that word, but
Yeah.
it doesn't always mean the same thing. So the fact that you struggle with this, I feel like you should be able to give yourself a little bit of slack. There's a little leeway here.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying you're not responsible for your decisions. Of course you are. But you have to come at this from a perspective of you have to retrain your brain
Yes.
what this means. That when you are experiencing this craving, it is incredibly intense, but you have to be able to override that and understand, okay, I don't actually need this. Even though the message is being sent to my brain that if I don't have this, I'm going to die, I need to override that.
Right.
And I need to say, okay, I'm going to be okay.
Well, we
I'm
should
not
also expand on that too, because the dopamine piece is huge, right, for long-term cravings, which is much bigger than the initial thing too, because the dopamine deficit is something for months and months and months, right? We talk about people not constituting their dopamine receptor activity until 12 months, 2 years.
Well, because it's homeostasis.
Right.
Right. So if you get, I'm just going to use arbitrary numbers here, and let's just say
3.
If I eat pizza, I get a rush of dopamine at a level of 3.
Feels right.
And if I use meth, I get a rush
3.5.
of 300.
Okay.
Okay.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Now,
So how many books get you to
pizzas.
meth?
When
that's a
that
lot of
happens-
books.
ratio of the
100 pizzas equals 1 meth.
when that happens, the brain knows something's not right.
Right.
Okay. And so if I continue to use meth, it has to offset that. And this is homeostasis. So if it realizes holy shit, I'm producing too much dopamine, I need to stop producing dopamine.
Yes.
So this is also why you're chasing that first high, because your body is now producing, your starting
Starts
point
to
is a
cut
lot
you
lower.
off. Right.
Right. So your dopamine level is now dropping so that when you use, the ceiling effect is much, much lower.
Right.
So this is why you'll often hear people say, I don't use to get high. I use now to feel normal.
Exactly.
Right. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, when you stop using, the brain doesn't oh shit, we're out of dopamine. Better start production
Kick
again.
that back in.
No, the brain's like,
Fuck you.
no, I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
Because I know
more's
this is
coming.
going to happen again.
Yeah.
And so it takes a long time to reset.
Yeah. Well, and a whole other layer to this too, as you just talked about, take heroin users, for example, right? They're using at some point to feel normal. And a lot of this is yes, dopamine related, but also much bigger than dopamine too, because with a lot of these chemicals, they're becoming, the word we use, dependent. And so now, just like your body will go through withdrawals if you remove abruptly other chemicals that the body has become dependent on. For example, H2O. If we remove this chemical that your body is dependent on for too long, you will go into violent physical and mental anguish as your body seeks that particular compound that it requires. Or another one, oxygen, right? Or sugar. These are basic chemicals that you rely on every single day. Whenever you develop a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, your body is so regularly being infused with this chemical compound that goes along with this, that not only is it hijacking the dopamine reward system, as Nick described, but you're also starting to have this whole new problem, which is when these opiate receptors are uncovered, you're now experiencing agony and pain. You're kicking, which is nausea and fever. It's like flu-like symptoms. You feel like you're dying. And so at this point, you're not just craving, and this is something I think a lot of people misunderstand. It's you want to get high because it feels good. And it's no. I get sick when I do not have anything. Like heroin, painkillers. If I don't have an opiate, I start dying in my body. I'm not taking this because it's fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking 100 pills every 2 days because I need them to function. I do these pills and then go to work. I don't go party. I'm not a kid. But there are tons of people that develop a habit like that. Cocaine can do the same thing. Alcohol can do the same thing. You'll wake up the next day. You're having the shakes. You're vomiting. You're feeling ill. You could have grand mal seizures. Alcohol, by the way, one of the only drugs that can kill you when you abruptly stop it. Whenever you've reached a certain level of dependence. So all of that compounds, Ryder, to talk about how profound not just cravings are, but the quitting process itself, which is why at this level, when you're talking decades of use, sounds like you're at daily use, sounds like you have attempted to quit on your own and have been unsuccessful. That is why there is a medical model. That is why there are levels of care. And Nick and I have worked in those levels of care, and we have seen so many people be successful, especially if they sound as motivated as you do, and they have, kind of a career of use here where they've studied themselves. You can be really successful in treatment, but it is very hard, especially depending on some of these drugs, Nick, to just quit. And there's a lot of this. This goes back to what you talked about earlier, the fundamental philosophical flaw of seeing it as a character deficit. If you see it as a character deficit, you assume the cure is a character one. You assume you can do it. Yeah. And even if you go to AA, the first thing to tell you is, no, you can't. Yeah. This is beyond your ability to control. It's going to take all of us, and we might squeak you through, right? So you have to go through a process, I think, of surrendering to a level of care or to, maybe a program that is bigger than just you coming up with one weird trick. That is the nature of addiction. It is impossible to remove it from yourself. There is a process that requires others to assist you in that work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but because the 12-step thing, whether or not you're into the 12 steps or any kind of support group, find other people that are going through this and connect with them. Find people who you're going to be kind of blazing this trail. You're not the first person to walk down that trail.
That's
Find the people who've already done it.
Yes.
Connect with them. Figure out how they did it. Ask questions. Be open-minded, and some of them may have...
If you want what they have, you got to do what they do.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's all about making those connections. And as Whitney had talked about, it's a lot of changing patterns of behavior, right? People, places, things.
People, places, things. All day long. Well, actually, Whitney, you were wrong. So really quick, though, I do want to tag on that because I didn't want to let that one go too far before we adjusted it. There's a mistake that a lot of people make, which is what we call the geographic cure. So they think, I use drugs in Las Vegas. The problem is Las Vegas. No, you have a disease. It's called, substance use disorder, and it's bigger than that because they also have drugs in Chicago. They also have drugs in LA. You're not going to get away from it. But Nick's right, or the combination of that.
They have what in Chicago and LA?
Oh, shit. Oh, no, now he knows. Oh, he's going to leave. So, so you do want to go through a full life adjustment. And so there is definitely a separation, which is one of the reasons we have that inpatient or reseential setting is to get you away from all that until you have the tools.
Yeah, I should have clarified people who are have separate or they aren't using anymore, and they're I'm trying to keep not using. So for this writer,
you can't be going back to your drug dealer's house, be like, we just play video games now.
Right? I'm just gonna drive by casually.
That's the old saying. If you hang out in a barbershop, you're going to get a haircut.
Just hang out long enough.
Unless you're Peter.
He doesn't get haircuts.
He's bald.
He's bald.
I've never met him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool that you just, shit on your husband like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder this thing's not working out.
As far as you know.
Everybody likes a good Cleveland steamer.
Yeah.
What is that?
You're shitting on your husband.
I was like, what is that?
That costs extra.
I know.
So, Ryder, yes, all of this is really good information. Now, I
Not
think
the Cleveland steamer part,
No,
but everything else.
Try it. Judge.
Try it.
Don't yuck their yum.
Now, one of the questions that you asked is about are there always deeper issues? Right? Is addiction always tied to some sort of deeper issue? Not always, but oftentimes it is.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you really kind of analyze this. And it's not necessarily the cause of the addiction, but oftentimes it facilitates continued use. So here's the thing with like using drugs and alcohol as a coping skill. It's not problematic because it doesn't work. It's problematic because it does work.
Right.
If I have a problem and drugs and alcohol provide me an escape, either a relief from pain or seeking pleasure, in either one of those, I get an escape from whatever this deeper issue is. And it works really well, temporarily.
Yeah.
Then I sober up,
Yeah.
and then this problem is back.
Just an ineffective medicine.
Yeah, well, this
Long-term.
medicine worked last time.
Right.
I'll do it again. Holy shit, it worked again.
Right.
Damn, it wore off. Better take it again.
Right.
And so the underlying issue never goes away. So it's not necessarily that we have to address this underlying issue so that you can stay clean and sober.
Mm-hmm.
It's we have to understand, hey, once you get clean and sober, this thing's coming up again.
Right.
So now we have to find a new way to deal with this thing. So it doesn't necessarily cause addiction, but it's a companion. It sits right alongside it.
Yeah,
right?
you're right. I like that. It's adjacent. And trauma is very common.
Trauma is very common.
Comorbid mental health. We do see a lot of that where people also are doing things like self-medicating their anxiety or their depression or other symptoms. That can exist. But writer, be careful because some people get distracted by the search for the deeper thing and they don't just do the steps, right? And I don't mean the 12 steps. I mean, they don't just do the next right thing. And a lot of times we've had people like come to treatment and we're trying to tell them how to remain sober. And a lot of it has to do with doing what the fuck you are told and like putting your feet where we tell you to put them. Like you need to be a good soldier. And they're like, no, I need to figure out like the why. It's like, bro, don't waste all your fucking time sitting here trying to figure out the meaning of your addiction. Like, I'll tell you why. It feels really fucking good.
Yeah.
End. Like, we don't need to go deeper than that. You're not going to discover some magic, deep meaning thing. Like, oh, I think I figured out I discovered heroin because at 5 years old, somebody took my blankie. Like, yeah, maybe that was shitty too, man. But like, you have to live in the now. And in the now, we got to stop using dope, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're not going to discover it and then stop using it.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I used to use the example all the time, like, because I often had clients that were getting way too deep into the existential piece of this, and it's like, and I used the example of my cousin who has a peanut allergy, but like a serious one, not like mine.
Yeah, not like a bitch peanut allergy.
Yeah. But like a serious peanut allergy. Like if he's around it, like he'll
could be
go into anaphylactic shock, right? So like he doesn't need to understand why he's allergic to peanuts.
I love this.
He doesn't need to understand what allergies are.
Right.
He doesn't need to understand what that peanut dust does to his lungs.
How
he just needs to not fucking eat peanuts.
Get away from peanuts.
That's it.
Yeah, you're good.
And then so the solution isn't way deep, underneath the iceberg.
Yeah.
Sometimes the solution's just right up front.
I have a lot of people that at an outpatient level, they'll show up and they'll say, I think I have an alcohol problem, I think I have a marijuana problem, whatever their issue is. They're bumping into consequences. They're finally ready to get some help, right? So they're in that contemplation stage of change, preparation. And like, okay, we're finally going to do this. And that's the only question they're interested in. And their spouses too, and their families. It's so distracting for them to be into that question. Like, we want to get to the root, Jim. And it always surprises them. We'll go, okay, yeah, maybe one day we'll do that. But for right now, we're going to get sober. And they're like, no, we want to get to the root. And I'm like, that's adorable. It's a luxury. I hope we do.
It's like one step
but
at
in the
a time.
meantime, we're going to stop using drugs. Like, that's what we're going to do. And
It's
they're
like,
no,
let's get you safe and then we can.
Nobody's addiction has ever been a cure or has ever been cured by epiphany.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's true. Yeah. We talk about moments of clarity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a recognition, but a lot of that really is related to stages of change. Moments of clarity usually propel a stage of change and make you more willing to do what the fuck you are told. And then you become healthy. So writer, a little bit of advice here. Don't get too preoccupied with a journey into the fucking Ark of the Covenant to find like the original why. It doesn't matter. Where you're going to find solutions is getting into treatment now to halt the behavior.
And one thing I really want to make clear that I'm not saying that this is really simple. Just stop doing this.
No, it's not that easy.
Because we know that that's not the case.
Jesus.
If it was, you'd already done it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so let's just be clear. This is going to be very, very, very difficult, which is why you don't and should not do this yourself.
Exactly.
Find the people who've already done it. They've already come up with a solution to this. They've forged what worked for them. They forged the path. Find them and walk that path with them.
Yeah.
You know,
or use evidence-based practice.
Yeah.
You know, get into treatment. And this actually is something we should point out, that the two things in survey after survey that if you just survey general population therapists and across all disciplines, the two things they are most reluctant to treat, substance use disorders and borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
Those are the things that scare therapists.
Yep.
So even if you say, I'm going to go see a therapist, if they do not specialize in this, they're probably not qualified to help you with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's definitely a question when clients come to me and they say, "Oh, I have, anxiety or depression, all this," and then they will also say, I have legal issues from getting drunk and doing
Also have a
ABC
DUI and I
or
can't stop drinking.
exactly. So it depends. I definitely talk with them about like, well, what is your goal in therapy? What are you trying to work on? Like, how serious?
What are we focused on?
Because I'm not qualified to work through substance treatment with you.
It's a different
And I
animal.
think, and now we're kind of getting down a rabbit hole, but one thing I want to say that it kind of sparked my attention and it frustrates the shit out of me is I think that's also why people don't screen for it.
Yeah.
A lot of therapists are not going to ask those questions because in fear of, well, shit, if I ask that question, if they say yes,
Right.
well, now I don't know what to do.
Right.
I'd rather not ask the question
Oh, yeah.
and
Like
not have
with
to deal with it.
substance
And
use,
many
you mean?
therapists
Yeah.
are very guilty
Oh,
of
that's
utilizing
in our
it.
assessment. But
Yeah.
I created
No, I
our
think-
I mean, you'll see
assessment.
like a DAST. You'll see the DAST or the SBIRT or something
Yeah.
just to check. But you're right, because a lot of them don't know what to do if it pings positive. They'll be like, well, how bad is it?
Yeah.
Well, I think I drink because I have anxiety. Okay, so the anxiety then. We'll deal
Right.
with that. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
And I think-
this could be addiction.
Well, and I think mental health clinicians look at substance use disorder the same way substance use clinicians look at problematic gambling.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing. It's just one more step.
dismissed. Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want to ask these questions
Right.
because I don't feel capable or
that's very
competent to
true.
deal with it.
Almost nobody does.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
All right, back to the writer.
Gambling counselors don't respect sex addiction. Sex addiction counselors don't respect video game addiction.
And nobody respects Jim.
Yeah. I'm always at the very
On
bottom.
the line we
I'm
go.
the innermost Russian doll.
One more thing I'm going to say here. Okay, as far as practical things, as far as dealing with intense cravings, I don't know what your substance of choice was, but you could look into medication-assisted treatment.
You need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there has been, in the past, there has been some pushback from clinicians about using medication-assisted treatment. And it's usually kind of from the folks that I would
that
call
fight
kind of...
has to be over.
It's
by
kind
now.
of it is. I think it's starting to die down. A lot of the people that I know that were very much against it have kind of warmed up to the idea, and they're kind of getting used to it. So, Ryder, essentially what this is, medication-assisted treatment is essentially like prescribing a medication. So like with alcohol, that could be Vivitrol, and it's something that, or for opioids, it'd be buprenorphine. Jesus
You were
Christ.
really close.
Buprenorphine. No. Fuck me. How do I not know this shit?
Yeah.
You'd
now
think I
I'm
know my
blanking on
fucking
it too.
job. Yeah, buprenorphine.
Yeah, you're right. The first one,
Yeah,
bupropion, was
buprenorphine.
not it.
And I was like, bupropions
Yeah.
for something.
Or
Or alcohol and abuse. That's another one.
and abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, so anabuse doesn't do much for the cravings. It just makes you sick if you drink.
Yeah.
That'll stop you.
Sometimes. Or
Negative
you just
effect.
stop taking the
Naltrexone,
anabuse.
Yeah.
another one.
Naltrexone, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So any of these medications are meant to help deal with cravings.
Yeah.
The pushback has always been like from people saying like, well, you're just replacing one drug with another, but that's bullshit.
Subutex.
That's not true.
Suboxone.
Suboxone.
That was it.
Yeah, which is buprenorphine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and then
And easy
another
for you
one.
to say.
Yeah, and naloxone.
Naloxone's a big one. And what are we forgetting? So anyway, Nick's absolutely right.
Yeah.
The stats show that you are way more successful with a medication support system as part of this. Not morphine.
Methadone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah. Most of those, I mean, those are all pretty much for opiates. There hasn't been much use for those for other substances. So again, like meth, I don't know.
Well,
if
I
any of
mean,
those
take
are
something
really
like,
applicable for that.
take meth or take coke or take marijuana. If you're using those drugs and you need to quit them, not only is it therapy, and not as I'm probably going to be inpatient for 2 of those. But medication assisted could just be psychiatric medications that are going to be, sedating or supportive to help you get through the craving cycles or to deal with the side effects. Because like cannabis withdrawal, which by the way, we do not talk enough about, but cannabis being legalized everywhere has resulted in, just like anything else, some people becoming abusive of it, right? And hitting it all day, every day, wake and bake, go all day. They're hitting high octane, amounts of it. And then when they stop, they are experiencing cannabis withdrawal symptoms, which are a real documented thing. A lot of people don't know anything about it. And they're experiencing irritability, nausea, loss of appetite, insomnia, hypersomnia in some cases, depression and anxiety. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I need the weed in order to not have these mental health symptoms. It's like, no, the mental health symptoms are coming because you're quitting the weed, in which case you need to go get medication-assisted treatment to help alleviate those mental health symptoms so that you can stop using the cannabis or decline it, or wean down. So,
yeah. So I guess my big pieces of advice, be nice to yourself. Understand that this is, if you're like frustrated, like, I don't understand why I can't do this. Well, it's a brain disorder.
Yeah.
It truly
It's
is.
really
And this
fucking
is
hard.
Yeah. And, people don't like hearing the disease concept of addiction, but all the research, all the evidence shows us that this is a brain disorder. It's not just simply moral failings and that's not what it is. So
you're not weak.
So give yourself a bit of a break here. Still be responsible for your decisions. You are still responsible for what choices you make. And one of those choices should be to get help.
Yes.
Go get an assessment at a treatment center. Find a support group in your community. Like I said, many people have done this before you, so find those people.
Yeah, do what works at the end of the day. And don't let the differences between you and those systems talk you out of it. A lot of people say, well, I'm not going to go to rehab because that's where the long-bearded guy lives under the bridge goes. Like, fuck you. He's going to be sober before you, so go do what he does. Or I'm not going to go to AA. I don't believe in God. Fuck that. There's people there that don't believe in fucking God. Just go do what they're doing. Like, just finish the fight. Win it.
Or smart recovery.
Yeah, smart recovery is awesome too. There are no
So,
excuses. At the end of the day, man, you're not responsible for your disease, but you are 100% responsible for your recovery.
Yep.
That has to be on you. So take the next step, do the next right thing, and we'll see on the other side of that. You can do it, but look into the medication piece.
Keep us posted.
Yes, we love updates. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about an invitation to sister's wedding. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
This episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer. Patreon.com/therapy. Next set. Here we go. Ready?
Do it. Hit me.
Okay.
Got him.
Jesus.
Yep.
Here we go.
Coming.
You didn't even have to get it wrong.
Jeremy Brett, Johnny Lee Miller, Henry Cavill,
Oh, shit.
Robert Downey Jr.,
No,
Superman.
it's not that.
I don't know.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Bing,
buzz.
bing, 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 bing. Did I get it?
I don't know.
Sherlock
I think you
Holmes.
got it.
Sherlock Holmes, what I was going to say, and I buzzed.
I said Bing.
Whitney did say buzz.
I mean, are Bings allowed?
I believe it was
Bing,
specifically
bong,
said to
bing.
buzz in.
You did.
Sherlock Holmes.
I
Yes.
can't believe Henry Cavill did it.
I
No.
don't remember that,
I can't
but
believe
once
Whitney
we got
and
to
Whitney both have
Benedict.
a point.
Jeremy Brett from multiple TV series in the 80s and 90s. Johnny Lee Miller from Elementary, 2012.
That was pretty good.
Henry Cavill, Enola Holmes.
Oh, we know.
2020.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey
about
Jr., obviously Sherlock Holmes in the sequels, and Benedict Cumberbatch, Sherlock, the
Like
TV
you
series.
watched that, Whitney. You probably
Enola?
just watched it on mute.
What?
The Henry Cavill one.
No, that's
what
the one
Laura
that Whitney.
definitely would have.
Take off your shirt.
I was watching-
In a dark candlelit room.
I was watching it for Elle.
Solve the crime with grease.
For 11.
All right. Lee Merriweather. Oh, I think I know this one. Eartha. Yep, I do know this one.
Oh,
can
Buzz.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Was Halle Berry
He
next?
started to say Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt,
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, and
Yeah.
Hathaway.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we would
I
have
don't
done
think
it
I'd have
later.
gotten
Oh, I would have.
Oh, as soon as you started to say Eartha Kitt, I knew it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
didn't
love
know the
that
first
Halle
two.
Berry won an award for how bad Catwoman was.
Oh, yeah,
And-
she got,
and
it was like a
Whitney
Razzie, I
received it.
think.
Yeah, she's like one of the only persons to ever receive her raspberry. I love it.
Lee Merriweather in 1966. Eartha Kitt in the TV series.
Sure.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Batman Returns.
She was so hot.
Holly Berry, Catwoman, and Anne Hathaway, The Dark Knight Rises.
That was a sexual awakening for a lot of people.
I bet.
One more. Brian Bedford, Peter Llewellyn Williams.
Wait, say it again.
Brian Bedford, Peter Lewellyn.
Llewellyn.
Sure.
Peter Llewellyn Williams.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is.
Carrie Elwes. I know this one.
Oh,
Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner.
Oh,
Robin
yeah,
Hood.
Buzz. Yeah.
God damn it.
what was it?
It's Robin Hood.
Oh,
Why is
Robin
Kevin
Hood. Yeah.
Costner
Nick
in
keeps like
the
stopping
list?
reading because he knows
Yeah.
what it is
Yeah.
instead of buzzing in.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they should email
You know
these
what?
to you.
Your
I don't
Honor,
know.
I'd like to declare some shenanigans.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. No
I
takesy
feel like
backsies.
there's-
Let's take it to court.
Now listen, Your Honor, this is only
All
a
right.
misdemeanor
No,
charge. Okay,
no.
it's clearly not a big charge, but a misdemeanor.
Brian
him the chair.
Bedford, 1973, the animated movie.
Oh.
Peter Williams, Robin Hood, 84 to 86 TV
I was
series.
gonna guess Princess Bride.
Men's Heights, Carrie Elwes.
Yep.
Carrie
Elwes. Russell Crowe, Robin Hood, and Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
You prince
There
of
we
Thieves.
go.
Robin Hood and Little John
Jacob's
running through
killing
the
it.
forest. Good stuff. Is that the end?
That's the end.
Last question. Invitation to a strange sister's wedding. Hi, lady and gentlemen. I'm in a bit of a time crunch. So are we. And let's try again. I'm in a bit of a time crunch, and I'm quite stuck in trying to figure out what to do with the recent wedding invitation I've received from my estranged sister. Your input and opinions would be greatly appreciated. Starting back from when we were young teenagers, my sister would lie and manipulate the people around her. After my dad passed away about 20 years ago, she became worse with the manipulation of my mom. Unfortunately, his passing put more financial stress on my mom and made the lending of money even harder to tolerate. The list of issues is far too long for me to remember in one sitting and well beyond the scope of an email. Though most of them involve her borrowing money from my mom, extended family, and I, as well as multiple occasions where she had my mom co-sign on loans and they would default. The financial impact of losing my dad and the various debts due to my sister ultimately led to my mom going through bankruptcy, which she has not and never will recover from. I do not understand how someone can take advantage of their mom, especially when you understand they do not have the financial means to do what you are asking. I should add that my mom will always help some, even to her own detriment, which my sister is fully aware of. On top of the issues for my mom, continually having lent money from and not getting repaid caused significant stress and arguing between my wife and I. It was easily the biggest source of strife in our marriage. It all came to a head for me when my wife was on mat leave.
Wait.
Maternity.
That's it.
The writer's sister
Is the
borrowing
one
money from mom
and writer
and writer,
and family.
and
Never
writer's spouse is upset about this
Because they're
They're involved.
because
taking our money
because
too.
writer is also lending money out to sister.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
great. I'm just catching up. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
It all came to a head for me when my wife was on maternity leave with our first child and we were running into debt making our bills. Having a new home and a new baby isn't easy when starting our careers. Throwing the issues with my sister on top of that only made issues worse. I would also offer my sister help to manage her money, which she would reject. About 8 years ago, I cut ties with her because a happy marriage and functioning household were my priorities. She last saw my eldest child when she
Smart, by the way.
That was a good call.
Yeah.
She last saw my eldest child when she was 1 year old and has not met my youngest. The separation in our family causes stress for my mom, but the issues of manipulation haven't stopped. I regularly speak to my mom about it, but worry I'm not getting the full truth. Recently, my mom co-signed on a new car, which my sister defaulted on, and my mom had to take on a new car and car payment. This isn't even the first car this has happened with. This brings me to the current issues with the wedding invitation. After so long, I feel completely indifferent about my sister. I tried so many different ways to help, but with no effort on her part and the damage caused to our family, I feel my only means of dealing with it were to cut those emotional ties. Sure, I hope I hope for the best in her life as I do anyone, but I feel no urge to see her in any capacity. It's not that I don't want to go to the wedding. I really don't care about it. Is there something wrong in having these feelings of indifference, and is there some familial obligation to try and move forward after so much damage has been done? I apologize for not being able to deeply explain the way I feel beyond indifference, but I'm generally a fairly stoic person and have difficulties communicating these types of things. I appreciate you reading my email and hope it makes the show, as the wedding is in 2 months, and I don't know how to navigate this one. Thanks. Please insert a clever name here, Nick.
Uh-oh.
I would prefer to stay anonymous on the show.
I'll do that.
Good job, Nick.
Yep.
Clever
Way to
name.
Throw it into the. Also, I hope.
Listen,
that we got
I
to this in
copy,
time.
I paste. That's what I do. All right.
And you're one of the best. One of the best copies and pasters I've ever
Please
seen.
don't stop
Thank
copying and pasting.
That's why I call you
Yeah.
Kinko.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my word.
Could you imagine if this is you? Like, because I was in my mind as I was reading this or hearing it, I was imagining, like, would I go to that wedding? And if my sister ran up so much debt and did all of this stuff, just
I know,
managed
Nick's
money
going.
terribly, could I go to that wedding and not look at everything money was spent on?
Oh, you're-
and have intense feelings
You're on the
about
wrong
that?
side of this.
No, because I would go there and be like, an ice sculpture, a petting zoo,
Yeah.
a live band.
Yeah.
do
Leonard
we
Skinner?
Really,
How'd you
do
get
we really have to do this?
I would be on the
Dead.
other side of it. First off, I would go to the wedding and I would secretly confiscate all the gifts, all the gift cards.
Just sell everything.
I would ruthlessly
I like
do
this.
straight to the pawn shop.
I
cash
like
it
this.
all in,
Don't even
and then
unwrap
just
it.
slowly over time start feeding money back to mom. I wouldn't even give it all in one lump sum. Mom would figure it out or pass it on to sister who's devastated about her wedding. Instead, I would just slowly feed that money back to mom. And I would show
Mom
up
would
and
just give it
order
back
the
to
fucking
sister.
filet mignon and the side of lobster and all the drinks at the bar, and then just charge it to the wedding party and leave.
Mhm.
That's what I would do.
But maybe sis is married into money.
Ooh, God, I pray for that.
Oh,
man. I hope
wow.
not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Well,
Who knows?
Yeah.
That money may not last.
Yeah.
Not with her.
Not at this track record.
I'm just saying it's possible we don't have all the details.
Do you
That's
keep
very
okay?
true.
Do you stand on your cutting this person off like thing, which has worked for you for years and given you peace of mind, but now it's a special event. It's a
Well-
wedding.
Okay. Baseline.
Yeah,
Why did you cut the sister off?
I think peace of mind. Is that what the writer says?
My family is doing
Family.
better since
Yeah.
we cut her out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a legit reason to cut her out in the first place.
Yeah, but mom hasn't. Mom's still
Mom has
talking.
not.
Yeah.
And so is this something that, I mean, honestly, I think I might start by talking to mom.
Yeah, it's a good place.
But
I like
mom may
that.
not be telling the full truth.
Fine. I'm not saying like you do whatever mom says, but
Yeah.
I think my journey might start
What would
just
you
by
say
talking to
mom?
mom.
Shit, go with mom to protect mom from giving more money to this
Hey,
goddamn
Mom,
wedding.
No, you can't control
Sis,
mom.
sis
Yeah.
sent me a wedding invitation.
Yep.
Are you going to this?
Yeah.
Like that's where I would start.
Mom's
Be
gonna
like,
be like, "Oh, I'm paying for it."
Yeah, that's what
you
I
going
was
to the
going to
wedding?
say.
yeah, I mean, like, but I mean, like, start going down that rabbit hole. You might find that mom has not been approached for any financial help with the wedding.
Yeah.
All these types of things that you might go, oh, this makes me feel better about wanting to attend the wedding. This
Right.
this like there will be other family there, presumably. I'm making assumptions now. But, if there's going to be other family there that you might want to see, you might want to reconnect with. You might have feelings that you want to reconnect with sis,
Yeah.
and have sis meet your family and everything. And I think a good spot to start with that is chat with mom, get a feel. Is mom paying for the wedding? If she is, maybe things haven't changed. If she's not, maybe things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe go from there.
Do you register a protest vote? You just don't go.
I don't think so. I don't think you do it out of protest. Because this wasn't. I don't know. It feels to me is if you're doing something out of protest, if you're going or not going to send a message,
Yeah.
that message probably is not going to be received the way you think it's going to be received
Good
because
point.
it never is.
Yep. Good point.
And B, who are you hurting?
Well, if you sleep with her fiance,
Okay, now you're talking.
yeah, yeah, gotta have a plan.
Yeah.
Now we're going
You
diabolical.
show up,
Yeah.
you seduce the fiance.
Oh yes, that's what you do.
You fuck the fiance in the coat room.
You show up wearing a wedding
immediately
dress
prior to the
That's
wedding.
what you do. You show up wearing white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
white
use that wedding dress to
tuxedo.
confuse.
Look more beautiful than
Yeah.
the
Use that wedding
bride.
Yeah.
dress to confuse the fiance.
Big fluttering eyelashes. Hair done.
Yeah.
looking good. Same
presumably
pumps.
you look very similar to your sister, and you
Yes.
could pull this off.
Oh, yeah. I'll never see it coming.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. These are really difficult situations because you obviously care very much for your mom and don't want to see her be hurt by your sister. I appreciate Jacob's input. I'm kind of focusing on the fact that it says recently, and I don't know what recently
Right.
means, but my mom co-signed on a car and the sister defaulted. And so mom now has a car payment.
Yep.
That sucks.
So, and that's not the first time. So,
Has your mom considered faking her own death?
Honestly.
she'd show up wanting the inheritance that doesn't exist.
Right.
The sister.
If I'm in this situation, I feel like I would be just as upset with the mom as I would be with the sister.
It's
So-
frustrating with the mom, but
It
it's like,
is.
what are you gonna do?
Here is kind of, it may sound a little harsh, but I see this in clients that I work with where they have parents where the mom gives into the, and I mean, I'm just thinking of a specific example, but like one parent gives into the other. So in one case, like the mom gives into the dad, like whatever the dad wants to do, the mom always puts her feelings aside to do what like dad wants to do. And at one point, the mom is an angel. She's sweet. She's like, has a great relationship with her kids, but the kids start resenting the dad because they're like, oh my gosh, you're taking advantage of mom. But really, if we dig really, really, really deep, like who is responsible for allowing themselves to be taken advantage of?
Right.
And at some point, like, yes, in the beginning, you reach out to your mom. You're like, hey, you know, maybe try and have some conversations like Jacob says, you know, how do you feel? What do you see? And they're like, oh, well, your dad just this. And I just, you know, this makes her feel good or whatever to give into that.
Right.
And when we look at parent-child relationships, like this mom with her daughter, I'm sure there's something there that some parents go through where it's that enabling behavior where they're like, I'll do anything for my child.
Right.
And it translates into, I will take over a car payment. I'll do whatever. I'll just keep giving and keep giving.
So it's just kind of like that's the expectation in the relationship. That, like,
yeah. She's
enabler.
created that, and you can absolutely, I feel for the mom. I really do. But she is also, y'all just talked about addiction and like being responsible for your behaviors.
Right.
At some point,
She a
the
grown-up.
mom is responsible for her behaviors. And when the writer says, I feel indifferent about this, man, so would I at that
Yeah,
point. 8
fair.
years, like
Yeah.
you've separated from it, and somehow you've managed to still have a pretty decent relationship with your mom, which I applaud you for.
Yep.
To be able to have those discussions, and you think mom may be lying or maybe not telling you the full truth because she's trying to protect her daughter. I think you being able to sit through that and listen to her still is huge, and you've been able to maintain that relationship, it seems like, because you've been able to sit and listen and be there for your mom. But man, when it comes to attending a wedding, what are our obligations? Oh my gosh.
So here's my thought on attending the wedding.
Okay.
I feel like first you have to be very clear with what your intention is. So like, if I go, what is the purpose of me going?
Yep.
And I think it's perfectly fine to say like, I'm not trying to reestablish a connection. I'm going to show support. This is my sister. She's getting married.
Yeah.
Big day. I'm going to go to show that I'm supporting.
I think
I'm
you can.
supportive.
That's a lane.
Yeah,
That just
and
says, I would show up for a birthday party
Yeah.
too. Whatever.
And
Happy birthday.
but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go because I think there's a chance we can work this out and
Right.
everything's
Yeah.
going to be
not an
roses and
offering of
lollipops
future.
and it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a different. That's
It's
a different
life
conversation.
Totally different
milestone.
thing.
You're my sibling. Hello.
Yeah. And so I think number one is making sure that you understand what your true consent is, intent is going. Like, what are you really after with that?
What action are you consenting to?
Yes. What? Yeah. With the.
I'm showing up at a wedding.
with
I'm
the
not showing
groom.
up to fully
if I'm
initiate reconciliation. And yeah,
if I'm going to wear this wedding dress, what am I really trying to
I'm gonna
do?
fuck
here?
this
Wearing white.
Dude, you better show up with the white tux.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in full fucking Mario, like top hat, like
No,
go
but
for it.
then what's the intent with that?
To fuck up the wedding, Nick.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so that's you. If your intent is
That's
to
an
fuck up
intent.
the wedding, then you shouldn't go to the wedding.
Oh, you should go.
But here's the other thing that you need to. Here's the other question that I think is really important: is you've been doing really well. Sounds like the changes that you've made have been beneficial to you. Are you at a place right now that you can handle the worst case scenario?
Right.
If you go there and it's very frustrating to see and there's something there that really upsets you, you learn that mom's paying for the whole thing, whatever it is, if the whole thing goes absolutely bonkers, are you at a good spot where you can still be okay?
Yeah.
And be like, all right, yeah, I've disassociated, I've disconnected with this enough.
You leave going, yeah, that's why I got out of this.
Yep, and you're still going to be okay. Then I'd say go if you want to go.
Does your wife want to go too, though? I want to know that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just side note there. I wonder.
Well, I mean, let's say sister owes you whatever, $4,000. Can you eat $4,000 of crab cakes and drink? Hopefully it's an open bar.
I can.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
can
what
drink
you do.
$4,000.
You fucking bring Jacob.
You know
what?
I can drink $4,000 today.
New answer to this.
I don't even have to change my pants.
Erase all the tape. Here's the new answer. Writer, how many +1s do you get? I'll tell you right. I have spirit points for days. Pod therapy will crash.
They're
the
not
wedding.
usable, but he does.
I can get everybody there.
Theoretical
No
point.
luggage. Okay, we all have to wear what we're wearing to the wedding on the plane.
The white tuxes and
no-
dresses. You want me to wear a wedding dress? I'll do
Matching
it.
white
All
tuxes.
going. Yeah,
That would be
matching
hilarious.
white. We're all coming in. We will all be your +4, and we will get to that bar and we will shut the shit
There's
down.
a Patreon level for this.
Yeah, there is a Patreon level for this. We will ruin this wedding.
We will make trouble for your family. There is a Patreon level for we will make trouble for your family.
It is fine. But yeah, or take the high road and just go.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so quick survey. Would you go?
I would not.
Not on the pod therapy one, because obviously we won't go.
Well.
If we get +4, we're going. Yeah, it's fine.
If it's my sibling, here's the thing. If I feel like I'm in a good place, I would go. But I would go with the expectation of I'm going to go, I'm going to make an appearance, I'm going to say hello to people I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm going to check out.
Okay.
And I'm just going to do that. That's
Jacob?
Like Nick, I'm also going to caveat it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to go, if Aunt Agnes is going to be there, she's 100 years old. I haven't seen her in 10 years.
Right.
And like if there are other reasons that I want to go, or if I just want to go to support my sister, then yeah, I'm going to fucking go.
Okay.
I'm not like we said earlier. This is not an olive branch from me.
Right.
This is I'm a grown up. I can come to your wedding. I'm going to act like an adult. I'm going to be pleasant. I'm going to be nice to be around. I'm going to drink $5,000 worth of booze,
At least.
all of those things. But yeah,
invite podcast hosts.
if I want to go, because it's like I said earlier, if you're fighting that battle, who are you fighting it for?
Right. You're not,
If you're trying to punish somebody by you not being there, all right. I bet they're still going to have a party.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go be in the photos. What do you think, Whitney?
All right. My vote is no.
Oh, shit.
And here's my
Whitney's a
caveat.
bitch.
Is that I probably have a teeny bit of a personal instance I'm thinking of. My brother and I have had conflict in the past. Definitely do not agree with a lot of the things he does.
Because you tricked him on his wedding day?
Yes.
Oh, shit. She stole Peter
We
from
don't have
him.
enough time to...
Oh, yeah.
There's not enough pod therapy hours to go into that, into my brother and mine's relationship. But all that to say, we do still communicate. And so, in my opinion, I have gone over the fact that he has not paid me back a certain amount of money, or fine, you're good. I would never loan him a certain amount of money that I wasn't okay being paid back with, which is just a side piece of advice there.
Oh, that's always true.
Yes. So
We've
this was
all
our
learned
limit.
the lesson the hard way.
Yep.
Don't lend money out
Yes.
that you're not okay with it not coming back.
Yep.
Correct. And so to me, it's I have a relationship with him where we do communicate. We'll catch up. We'll talk. Yes, there are things that have water under the bridge or whatever. The bridge has not been burned. If I had done all those things and then not spoken to him for 8 years and I get a wedding invitation, fuck no, I'm not going.
Okay.
Just because why?
Yeah.
I'd go, I'd still feel maybe thinking about should I go to my brother's wedding if he had one tomorrow or whatever, just because of our own past, but we're still in contact. I would consider it and think about that and why, maybe like Nick said, but yeah, I haven't spoken in 8 years and there's a wedding invite. Maybe it's just me, but my little tingly alarm bells just say she's just using you for whatever. She wants the wedding gift. She wants whatever. I could be wrong. I'm definitely assuming there.
That
Or
is
you
a
don't
really
owe her that.
interesting point
Yeah.
of why was I invited?
Yeah. Why?
That is a
ruin
really
the
good
wedding?
question.
Could be an olive branch.
Could be, or it could be like, hey,
Could be like, I want a toaster.
I
Yeah,
hope
I
he
think
shows
it's that.
up because I want him to see this.
I mean,
that
the
too,
gift is
like-
obviously an
Yeah.
empty box, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, here's-
I love Jim's chaos. Like Nick's like, "What's your reason?" Jim's like, "This."
I'll ruin
Like,
it.
My gift would be the best gift on the table.
Oh,
And
okay.
do we get to know
If
it?
I showed up.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
what
Oh,
the
you're just gonna
best.
out-
I don't know what it
Oh.
would be.
You're gonna
But
make
like,
a statement.
Yeah, there's gonna be like a $1,000 fucking KitchenAid mixer.
Okay.
Oh,
You know, like
why?
the fucking Cadillac. Because like if I'm gonna show up,
You're gonna know.
I'm gonna fucking show up.
Okay.
I think I
I'm
would
gonna
go.
show up and I'm gonna be like, hey, I
there.
am here. I am magnanimous.
Yeah.
Uh,
I bossed the hell out
like
of this gift.
no problem at all.
I
In the
rented this
white
marching
tux?
band
Yeah.
to walk me in.
Mariachi band.
I was charming. I was on the dance floor all night. I danced with grandma for like
Right.
5 songs in a row.
Took her home.
She did the twist. It was amazing.
Her pit
Everybody
didn't
got
go
video. Yeah. Like
And the
I
monster
would definitely
bag.
like if I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna fucking be there. But that's
Okay.
me.
I'm almost with Jacob.
I
on
don't even
all
know if
that.
I would recommend that, but that is what I would
Okay,
do.
I'm with Jacob, but again, still on the lane of ruining the wedding. So I want to do Jacob's theory, except I just want to do that so everybody thinks I'm awesome and doesn't notice you.
Yeah.
So like, did you see
Look at
Jacob
all the
dancing
fun
with
I'm
the
having
flower
without you.
girl? See
Yeah.
Jacob bought a round for everybody. Like, what a fucking great guy. So I'm going to do that. The gift I'm going to give you, and here's the move. It's a card that forgives the debt.
That's
Oh,
a
yes.
solid move too.
Yes.
That's good.
It's
That's
like
good.
some kind of receipt of sale that says like the debt has been voided. It's
Little
an
Your gift-
itemized
yes,
receipt
absolutely.
that says all the items I've ever loaned you,
FICO,
Here is
yeah.
what
time
you
plus
owe me.
interest,
Yep.
I
total
support
amount
this.
owed, voided as of this date.
She's gonna
and
go
then I'm
post on
handwriting,
MIBS.
Congratulations to you and your husband. I wish you the best.
That's some
That
shit.
is, I like that. Actually,
That's some shit.
I like
and then
that.
I'm getting drunk and dancing with everybody.
Yeah.
I
And
But-
that's my night.
You're probably not going to be invited to the next wedding.
Oh shit.
Dude.
Which is also always my goal.
Yeah.
That's true. You don't want to blow the first one so you don't come
Yeah.
back for more.
No.
Good luck on
No,
this
no,
one.
my
Ryan.
goal is
Yeah.
always to not be invited
Oh,
to the
okay.
second
Yeah,
wedding.
you just want to
Please
ruin
send
it.
a follow up what you decide.
No,
I want
please
to
send
know.
invites.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
yeah,
invite,
and the
but-
registry.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. I'm not buying them anything.
Maybe
No.
maybe the wedding's in Vegas.
Oh,
Maybe
if it
it's a
is, we're
destination
going.
wedding.
Yeah, we
Hell
sneak
yeah.
us in the back.
Yeah,
And we're really good party guests. Like, we'll be fine.
we know the crowd.
You want to
Yes.
have me at every one of your parties.
Absolutely.
I am a
Oh,
great
yeah.
person at a party. I bring
Yes.
people. It's a whole thing.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 of us are potty trained.
It's true.
We'll
Yeah.
do well.
Well,
We
depending
do-
We
upon
do great.
you put a pad down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the corner.
She knows where to go. You know.
She just has to have her
Animal.
little area.
Yeah. This is not
That's what we do in
comfortable.
here.
That's right. We have our little. If you ever wonder why it gets suddenly silent, you're like, "Where's
Just
Whitney?"
a tinkle in
She's
the
going
corner.
potty. Good luck with this one, Ryder. Work to ruin the wedding, though, please, and let us know how you did it. I'm really interested in that. As we get to the end of the show, I want to remind you, you can go to patreon.com/therapy. You can get the extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat, Discord community, and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. As previously mentioned, this week's Patreon episode is called Practically Christian. It is a deep dive into Jim's religious happenings and a lot of good conversation going on in that. I should have titled it "Jim Breaks His Silence on Religion," just because it would have gotten more
Again.
clicks. Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah,
we
I was
deleted
going to
that.
say, yeah.
For the first
That
time
doesn't
ever.
exist. They've never heard
What
that.
doesn't exist?
Exactly. We do
No, I
want to
really
welcome.
don't know. I'm just confused.
Wow, man, he really doesn't remember shit.
It does exist. You just trimmed it.
I did.
What are you
Appropriately.
talking about?
The episode that we had, the 3 of us, where
We talked
went
awkwardly
deep.
about religion for
We
like
spent
90
like 2.
minutes.
No, it was almost 2 hours.
Oh, I need to go
of
find
Patreon.
this one.
We
Oh,
randomly
okay.
did the
Yeah.
rest of the show in 30 minutes. And
Yeah.
then afterward, I cut it all the way down to like 15 minutes of religion talk, 30-minute episode.
We had a huge discussion.
And Nick was upset at
about
me and was like,
religion.
"Hey, man, you took a lot of liberty with that. Like, you didn't talk to me."
Took a lot of Liberty
But then,
University.
thankfully, the listeners immediately were like, "Jesus Christ, thank you!" Like, the 15 minutes was unbearable. Please never do that again. So I decided
you
to do
did
an
it again.
entire Patreon on it for
Yeah.
90
Yeah.
minutes.
There you
I'm
go.
on
Give
top.
them what they want.
Patreon.com/therapy. Who's the
6-hour
new
ADHD deep dive.
who
Still better
joined
than that.
Who joined the Theraparty, Nick?
Brogan Hastings.
Welcome.
Oh,
Pit
by the
stop
way-
on that. Go to Hey Buddy, Nice Podcast.
Hey, bud.
Yeah,
You and I have both been guests on
I
that.
was reminded by Brogan that both Brogan and Wayne offered to fill out our March Madness brackets for us
Oh,
Do you remember that?
wow.
when they were in town.
Oh,
because it was
geez.
right after March Madness.
Since they're
last
both
time.
from not America and
Yeah,
have
and
no
they know
fucking clue
no-
what any of this
yeah.
is, it'll just be on pictures because
Yeah.
they're both artists. They're just gonna be like, this one.
Yeah.
These guys are gonna.
I mean,
win.
I want to do it, but I still want to fill out my own bracket.
I think we should just have a dummy one where they get to submit their own accounts and we just see how they do.
Here's what we should do.
And anyone who loses to them has to get a tramp stamp.
Oh, fuck yes.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
They're the pace car?
no. Yeah. So I put one for Nick, and then Brogan will do one for Nick. You do one for Jim, and then Wayne will do one for Jim.
Okay.
We have to beat theirs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
fantastic.
it's so we got a side bet.
and
so
there's
we
like
got,
a side pot.
Yeah. So
yeah.
like
Something bad happens.
number one is
Yeah.
who places highest in
Right.
the group.
If we lose to them, we have to go on their
And then if
show
we
and
lose
receive
to-
a punishment of
yeah.
some kind. Oh, that'd be really fun.
yeah, there we go.
That's a
All right,
great
we're
idea.
set.
It's a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Never again.
So welcome Brogan, welcome Sean Jeffrey, Lucky McChancy.
That feels
I don't
right.
know if that's a
I
real
believe that's
name.
their Christian name.
Dylan Colopy, I think, and BB Hermit.
I think you got those right. And welcome new theropod, Las Papas. I think, does that mean fries?
Potatoes, I thought.
How you speak Spanish
Some.
this whole time?
She lived in Costa Rica for like
Wow.
a couple
A
years.
year.
A year.
Wow, I forget about that. We'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts. The Therapartners, thank you, Dirty
This
B,
AI generated thank you that Jim is doing for the last few weeks is just terrible.
Weirding
Myra, and Pickett.
I like that. I like that. He likes that you think it's AI generated because I know he.
I
spent
wrote
a lot
every
of
word.
time.
Yeah, I know.
Not one bit of it's AI. I wrote that.
But it just sounds AI. Like he's writing it to sound AI.
So super smart. Thanks. Especially, we'd like to thank our
Not what I
bosses,
meant at
the
all.
mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Thera producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley, Slapping Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, Asadi Boys, Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie. And last call, you can come to Scoop Fest. Go to
Do it.
Hey
Scoopfest.com.
That's it.
Or you can
And
go to heyscoops.com and you can buy your ticket through there.
come hang out with us in person in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah,
It'll be
on-
fun.
Not last call for that, by the way.
Oh,
on,
It's still, we got time.
okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, it's kind of
May.
ways out.
May
7th, 8th, and 9th.
11th.
day after and the day after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so after you
Yes.
finish Cinco de Mayo, then you
Thursday,
come to Las
Friday,
Vegas.
Saturday. First Thursday, Friday, Saturday in May.
It's
Out here in
gonna be
beautiful
May.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Beautiful weather in early May. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's beautiful weather today.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't
and
you?
enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Share this episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, on X, on Threads, and slash PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget about the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
What's our truth social?
We should get one.
Oh my god!
That's why we're not getting enough listeners.
You're right. We're in the wrong
If
demo.
you want to submit a question to the show, ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week. All
Got
right.
some more actor questions?
Yes.
Oh,
Here we
right.
go. Reginald Owen, Jim Carrey, Michael Caine. Oh, George C. Scott. I know this one. And Patrick Stewart.
Shit.
Oh, shit.
I know it.
I don't.